Now the scary part, doing an actual interview. If you've never done this before, it can seem really scary. You want to continue this idea that you're starting to build a relationship with somebody that you don't know yet, and that you really want to get to know them very well, and you want to bring out the best in them. And the more comfortable you both feel, the more you'll really get to see what it's like to work together. So starting with your first email that says, hey, thank you so much for your application. It looks great. I just want to talk to you on the phone so we can get to know each other a bit better and decide if we both want to continue. And make it really friendly, but be really clear about the questions that you want to ask so that you have clear answers. And use that opportunity to clarify any areas that might be unknown, like salary or hours of work, just to make sure that those things match each other.
This thing of slowing down and doing it properly is actually really important. Many early stage founders really want to just rush through and sell the job to a candidate and then kind of weirdly talk about the money later. Having clear, upfront conversations about this kind of stuff is the sort of structure that is expected from leadership. And that's a tone that you want to set early.
We're not phoning them up and asking them to decode the human genome. We actually just want to work with them on some cool software. So continue the conversation as you would if they were in the office, because you're not trying to project a false personality. People will find out the real you. Usually you can tell the sorts of things that you might need to talk about further. So if it is a coding role, it might be that you're going to do a code test before the interview, just to make sure that that skill level is there. So you should let them know about that in advance, and just let them know that the interview will be a two-way process. So come with questions and don't be afraid to ask. And I ask them to think about it like a relationship, that we're trying to get to know each other. You're about to do the interview, you should have been through the CV yourself, and if there's any gaps or areas of concern, take a note. And if there's any stories in there that you want to hear more about, take another note. Perhaps another few more questions to help figure out some of those areas of expertise that you want them to demonstrate. And then you can use that as a rough guide for your interview, but not like a question answer kind of like interrogation. It's a gentle guide, and you may not actually get to all of them. It's just that if there's any moments of awkward silence, you can sort of refer gently to your guide and sort of go, oh, hey, tell me about that time when you such and such. Finish the interview correctly. Don't just stop them halfway through a story. I would always have a watch in front of me that I can gently glance at so that they don't feel like they're on some sort of like clock. And sort of 5 minutes before the end, find a natural gap to say, hey, look, we've just got 5 minutes left, so I'd really like to wrap up, and whether we're nearly finished or have some more to do, just outline that there, and then you can say, hey, the next steps are going to be there'll be another interview with somebody else who's going to help me figure out some of the gaps, or it could be that the next step is something else, but let them know. Sometimes very hard for people to ask questions because they actually just have convinced themselves that they want the job, even though they have doubts about its seniority or the location or something. Sometimes you can sort of force them to ask you questions by getting them to admit why they're leaving their current situation. So asking them, what is it about your current situation that's led you to come here? What are you looking for? And sort of help them ask some questions so that they can leave knowing whether this is the right job for them or not. And I actually sometimes just say outright, look, if there are some concerns, just ask me about it, and that way we can figure out if it's right for you. And you don't want to terrify them, right? You really want them to be relaxed and at their best. You shouldn't be there trying to get like a chair that's higher than theirs, trying to create this like Mad Men experience. Yeah, the key mistake is being more nervous than the candidate. And actually you have to remember that although it is awkward and difficult to interview people, if you don't do it often, they're the ones that are really nervous. So you've just got to suck it up. Be more humble and just help them and focus on them and their nervousness, and that should help alleviate your own. No, it It's not okay to just run over on an interview, because that person probably has another job and they've snuck out of the office. And it's really rude to expect them to stay longer, and it puts a lot of pressure on them, and they definitely won't be giving you their best shot. No more than an hour. It's too intense otherwise. So the best thing to do is ensure you finish on time and say, hey, look, I've actually got loads more questions. This has gone really well, and I'd like to get you in again. Maybe we can meet for coffee. Just make sure you give them that feedback of why you want to see them again, because otherwise they'll be going home worrying about why. What did they do wrong?
Setting that balance between clarity and humanity is really important in leadership, because you're effectively setting the boundaries of the game that you're going to play with this person, should you hire them. And understanding what a shared vision of success looks like means you're setting up the relationship properly, right from the start.